What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to continue giving you my top 10 quarterbacks, different conferences around the country. And today we're going to be doing the Big Ten Conference. Of course, the top 10 quarterbacks of 2020 in the Big Ten. Big Ten is returning a lot of quarterback talent this year, lots of underrated quarterback talent, lots of quarterback talent that didn't really show out last year that definitely can show out this year. A couple new starters that we've seen in the spotlight before, but now in the full-time starting role. Big Ten is an interesting group of quarterbacks this year. Can't wait to watch the Big Ten quarterbacks. I think they have some of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire nation in the Big Ten. And we're going to go ahead and kick things off right here. Number 10 is Brandon Peters of Illinois. Brandon Peters transferred over from Michigan a couple years ago and has played pretty well for Lovie Smith in this Illinois team, a team that is definitely trending in the right direction, as is Brandon Peters. You look at his 2019 stats, 1,884 passing yards with 18 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Overall, a 55% completion percentage. He's got to get that up, led to a 128.6 passer rating. Doesn't really like to run the football, but 213 rushing yards with 3 rushing touchdowns isn't bad for what Brandon Peters is, a pocket passer. Digging in the end zone a couple times on the ground there, as I just said. I think people are sleeping on Brandon Peters because I don't think we've seen him at his full potential. I think he definitely would have been the starter this year for Michigan, but he transferred to Illinois a while ago, and he is going to be back at their starting position. In a team that is trending in the right direction, and a team that is only getting better, I think Brandon Peters could definitely throw for 2,000 yards this year. Definitely possible. It's going to be a big step up from where he was last year. I think he's going to end up making some smarter throws. He's just got better weapons and knows how to use them out there at Illinois. And Lovie Smith is doing an absolutely phenomenal job. I cannot wait to watch Brandon Peters this year, and he's my number 10 quarterback in the Big Ten. Number 9 is Dylan McCaffrey. So the Michigan quarterback position is interesting because a lot of people think Joe Milton is going to get it, but I'm going to go with Dylan McCaffrey. He's just got more experience, and he's got the McCaffrey name brand on him. I think he is going to be the starter for Michigan, and we're going to look at his career stats. This is 2018 and 2019. I think he's only played in like 5, 6, 7 games, so these are his stats through those. Hasn't started any of those games, but 242 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 51% completion percentage with a 137.8 passer rating for his career, which is pretty good considering he doesn't have that much experience. Can run the football as well, 166 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. Dylan McCaffrey is a player for me that has a lot of talent around him, like Nico Collins, Ronnie Bell, got some great running backs back there, and tight end Nick Eubanks is pretty darn good as well. Michigan and Dylan McCaffrey, I think if they can get some chemistry going early on, should be fairly well. A little bit worried about Dylan McCaffrey. He's, in my opinion, going to be the starter, going to be thrown in. Hasn't started a game, and gets a tough opener against Washington. So I'm going to have to see how he plays then, but the expectations at Michigan are really high, and I think he'll follow suit at least to a certain degree, and that's why he is at number 9. Number 8 is Peyton Ramsey. The transfer from Indiana. He's transferring to another school inside the great state of Indiana, and he's transferring to Northwestern. Kind of has split time with Michael Penix. Has never really been the true starter since he arrived at Indiana, but definitely had most of the production for the Hoosier squad the past couple of years. And you look at what he did last year, 2,454 passing yards with 13 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions, which led to a 68% completion percentage and a 147.7 passer rating, which is pretty good, especially for a guy who really split time and didn't get all the time he liked on the playing field, as to why he transferred to Northwestern. Runs the ball if he has to, with 252 rushing yards last year and 7 rushing touchdowns, so definitely can get in the end zone when he's in the red zone. Scrambles when he's in there. And he's going to be coming to a Northwestern squad that definitely dropped off from where they were in 2018. They made the Big Ten championship in 2018, and then 2019 just flat out did not do too great. Northwestern, to me, doesn't have all that great of talent. Peyton Ramsey might not even be the most talented quarterback on the roster, but I think he's going to end up getting the starting position after what Northwestern has seen with him in their rival at Indiana. I think he will end up being the starter, and if he can just get weapons around him, Peyton Ramsey definitely is going to have a good season. Don't think he's going to have the best season of his career, but Peyton Ramsey should be pretty darn good this year, and he's at number 8 for me. Number 7 is Jack Plummer of Purdue, and this might be a very hot take. Jack Plummer's not rated that high in a lot of lists that I've seen. Just like to look at them. They're really interesting. It's kind of where I get some opinions on how other people view some things. But to me, Jack Plummer is going to be very, very good next year. Him, O'Connell, and of course Elijah Sindler kind of split a lot of time last year. But to me, I do believe that Jack Plummer is going to end up being the full-time starter over there at Purdue. He is getting a Rondale Moore back, and of course this is a Purdue team that threw for 1 billion yards last year without Rondale Moore. So Jack Plummer to me is going to be really, really good with Rondale Moore. Keeping in mind that he split time with 2 other quarterbacks. He was the most prolific passer on this Purdue team with 1,603 passing yards, 11 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 60% completion percentage, which led to a 124.0 passer rating. Doesn't like to run the football, only 56 rushing yards with no touchdowns. To me, Jack Plummer is very overlooked. I think whoever winds up being the starting quarterback for Purdue is going to be very, very good. They're getting Rondale Moore back, already got a lot of good weapons, returning a lot of production at that wide receiver spot. And Purdue's the team you got to watch out for. And I think Jack Plummer is a player you got to watch out for. He is my favorite to win the starting job at Purdue. I just think he has more talent than O'Connell and Sindler. To me, he will wind up being the starter on a Purdue team that is going to surprise a lot of people next year, and it's why Jack Plummer is at number 7. And at number 6 is Michael Penix. So now with Peyton Ramsey transferring to Northwestern, Michael Penix is going to end up being the full-time starter, and we have not seen him at his full potential. You look at what he did last year, keep in mind splitting time with Peyton Ramsey, although Peyton Ramsey did have most of the production, 1,394 passing yards with 10 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 69% completion percentage with a 157.6 passer rating. Now that is pretty good numbers for a guy who sat on the bench a lot more than he usually does last season. Michael Penix, Peyton Ramsey usually always kind of fought for that spot, as I just mentioned. But again, full-time starter, I expect Michael Penix to have an absolute breakout year in an Indiana team that is returning their top target in Whop Phillier, and Michael Penix got some great chemistry with him. I think Indiana is going to be a team a lot of people should look out for, and a team that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by is Indiana. And Michael Penix, to me, just going to break out this year, why he is at number 6. Number 5 is Adrian Martinez of Nebraska. And Adrian Martinez played pretty good as a freshman, and as a sophomore, battled some injuries and didn't perform well at all last year as a sophomore, in my opinion. You look at his stats, keep in mind that he did battle an injury last year, but 1,956 passing yards with 10 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, only a 59% completion percentage with a 130.8 passer rating. So the passer rating was pretty okay, but he's got to make some smarter throws with the football. He's tried to force a lot in there, and he's definitely going to have to make smarter choices with the football this year because J.D. Spielman is transferring out, and he is no longer their top target. He's going to have to rely on Wan'Dale Robinson and the recruits that Nebraska is bringing in. Now, they are excited about the recruits that they are bringing in. They think that they can be really, really good. And by they, I mean the Nebraska fan base. They're really excited about it. I'm excited for Adrian Martinez. I do think he's going to get better this year. I think he'll play at a higher potential. He wants to get that draft stock up. That's just what Adrian Martinez is. He's a competitor. I expect him to play pretty darn good this season, definitely throw for over 2,000 passing yards. If he can stay out of the injury list and off the bench, Adrian Martinez is going to be a really good quarterback. He's going to make some smarter throws, and why Adrian Martinez is number 5 in the Big Ten. We'll go to number 4, and that's going to be Jack Coan from Wisconsin. Jack Coan is he's pretty decent in my opinion, but with the talent surrounding Wisconsin, he is my number 4 quarterback in the Big Ten. 2,727 passing yards last season with 18 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions. This number jumps out to me, though, 70% completion percentage. Now, he is losing like Quintez Cephas and Aaron Cruikshank lots of other wide receivers. So he's going to have to adapt to a new wide receiver core. But I definitely think Jack Coan has the talent to be able to do that. Overall compiled a 151.8 passer rating, which is pretty good, especially for a guy who isn't, in my opinion, going to make it in the NFL, but definitely a very good college quarterback, and a guy that if he can just get to know his new guys and form chemistry with the wide receiver core as he did last year with the young wide receiver core coming in, he's going to be really good. And I don't think we're going to have to worry about Wisconsin this year, especially since they're going to get their running game going, and Jack Coan is behind the football. He, in my opinion, has a lot of potential that he just has not reached. Definitely think he's going to throw for 2,500 yards next year. But just got a young wide receiver core. Going to have to be able to find some guys to really step up. And until I can see that he can use those weapons to the fullest extent, Jack Coan is going to be at number 4. So number 3 for me is Sean Clifford. And I've heard some people talk like he looks like Joe Burrow and, you know, the way he throws the football. And he does have similar numbers to what Joe Burrow did his junior year. We'll look at what Sean Clifford did in 2019, though. 2,654 passing yards with 23 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 59% completion percentage with a 149.5 passer rating. Runs the football if he has to, 402 rushing yards with 5 rushing touchdowns. Sean Clifford, to me, is still going to be pretty darn good next year. I don't think he's going to be or have a season like Joe Burrow did, but Sean Clifford definitely is going to be really good. He's still got Journey Brown in the backfield. He's just got to find some wide receivers that he can trust, but he does have a really good tight end in Pat Freiermuth, and I think Pat Freiermuth, Sean Clifford's going to be able to lead this Penn State team to an absolutely phenomenal year, but until I can see he's, you know, got some wide receivers that he trusts, he's going to stay there at number 3. Number 2 is Tanner Morgan of Minnesota, and I covered him in my top 10 quarterbacks in the nation because I think Tanner Morgan is really undervalued. Yes, he's losing Tyler Johnson, but he's still got Rashad Bateman, could possibly get J.D. Spielman over from the transfer portal as he is a Minnesota native, and if he gets him, Tanner Morgan's going to be really good. We'll look at what he did last year. Surprised all of us last year with 3,253 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. Overall compiled 66% completion percentage with a 178.7 passer rating, which is phenomenal. Doesn't like to run the football. You look at the rush yardage, they're not great. Did have a rushing touchdown, but loves to throw back, sit there in the pocket, throw the football. And who wouldn't when you have great wide receivers like Rashad Bateman back there? Minnesota's just got to replace a lot on the defensive side if they want to be an all-round good team. But talking about Tanner Morgan, I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal next year, and he's going to be absolutely amazing. I think he's going to continue his upward trend from 2019. Definitely going to be able to equal those numbers, maybe even surpass some of the numbers you see there on this screen. Minnesota's definitely a team heading in the right direction. I love PJ Flex, the head coach. He's done an amazing job with Tanner Morgan, this Minnesota team, and I don't think anything changes this year. Tanner Morgan's going to be absolutely phenomenal. He is my number 2 quarterback in the Big Ten, but I think we all know who the best quarterback in the Big Ten is, and he is my best quarterback in the entire nation. It is Justin Fields of the Ohio State University. We'll look at the stats last year. Similar passing yards to Tanner Morgan with 3,273 passing yards, but 41 passing touchdowns and only 3 interceptions with a 67% completion percentage and a 181.4 passer rating. That's insane. He surpassed my expectations last year, and I think he surpassed a lot of people's expectations last year. Did Justin Fields. Didn't run the football as much as we thought, but still can run the football. 484 rushing yards with 10 rushing touchdowns. Compiled more than 50 total touchdowns last year for this Ohio State team, and a team that is going to be loaded with talent and the wide receiver position. You got guys like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson coming back. Yes, you are losing Austin Mack, Benjamin Victor, and KJ Hill, also losing his running back J.K. Dobbins, but they are getting transfer from Oklahoma. Trey Sermon, he's going to have him in the backfield to trust. Master Teague is also back there. And with wide receiver recruits being brought in, Julian Fleming, Jackson Scott and Jibba, G. Scott, Mookie Cooper, they got a lot of great talent coming in, and Justin Fields is going to have a lot of guys to throw to. Not worried about that. I think he's definitely going to run the football way more than he did last year and prove that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation and definitely is the best quarterback in the Big Ten. All right, that's going to do it for my top 10 quarterbacks in the Big Ten for the 2020 college football season. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you are brand new to the channel or just enjoy my content, and turn on that notification bell to join Tailgate Nation. If you haven't done so already, please do leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on the quarterback play in the Big Ten for 2020. And as always, until next time, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.